Welcome to Show Science. In this series, we'll be testing and learning about just how meaningful and important certain attributes are for players. Today, we're going to be investigating walks per 9 for pitchers. As you can see, there's 9 attributes that affect a pitcher's playstyle and performance. Walks per 9 impacts how effectively each pitcher can find the zone. Allow me to introduce you to Control Freak, who has outlier walks per 9 at 95. As you can see, Control Freak is 81 overall. He also has 81 potential, which is the exact same as Average Joe here, who has flat stats across the 9, 81 overall. Whereas Control Freak has 55 for hits per 9, Ks per 9, home runs per 9, and clutch. They both have the same amount for control, velocity, and break. I don't want that to impact this video. So on the A's here, I have 3 Control Freaks and 2 Average Joes, and we're going to play 5 seasons. I'm going to play 2025 5 times over, and we're going to compare their results. This should give us a decent sample size to see how impactful having outlier walks per 9 is for a pitcher. We're going to be looking at 4 different statistics to measure their success. Innings pitched. We're going to look at ERA, one of the most basic and familiar pitching statistics. We'll be looking at WHIP, which measures how many base runners these guys are giving up. And lastly, we're going to look at FIP, which stands for Fielding Independent Pitching. If you're not familiar, fielding independent pitching is a stat that tries to cut out any effects of the defense on a pitcher's performance. So let's start simulating these seasons and see how each of these different types of players perform. So Control Freak 1 finished with 204 innings pitched, a 3.61 ERA, and a 1.21 WHIP. And he had a 4.5 FIP there on the right side. Control Freak 2, 3.41 ERA, and 1.21 WHIP. Control Freak 3 performed the worst out of those 3, 4.11 ERA and a 1.27 WHIP. Now you can see that the 3 of them are all still at 81 overall, whereas our Average Joes both went down a little bit in their ratings. As a reminder, all 5 of these pitchers do have 81 potential. Average Joe 1 had 179 innings pitched, so definitely lower than the Control Freaks. He had a 4.27 ERA and a 1.59 WHIP, significantly higher than the Control Freaks. Average Joe 2 did perform a little bit better than Average Joe 1. 195 innings, 3.92 ERA, and a 1.23 WHIP. Pretty solid. And I'll just show you quickly here as well that Average Joe 1 here had a 4.97 FIP. So trying to cut out any impact of defense, he still performed worse by this metric than any of our Control Freaks. So as you can see, after this one season, the Control Freaks on average had just about 9 more innings than the Average Joes. Their ERA was about 0.4 better. Their WHIP of 1.23 was about 0.18 better. And lastly, the fielding independent pitching also has the Control Freaks better than the Average Joes. Okay, let's do this 4 more times, and we'll revisit after we've collected some more data. While I was making this, I realized that having the Control Freaks at the top 3 in the rotation may lead to them getting an extra start over the Average Joes, so I did mix up the order throughout the video. Now that all the simulations are complete, let's take a look at the results. As you can see here, the Control Freaks averaged 197 innings compared to the Average Joes 189. So each season, the Control Freaks were pitching about 8 more innings. Now taking a look at ERA, the Control Freaks averaged 3.85 compared to the Average Joes 4.16. Similar trend for WHIP, Control Freaks 1.23, which was 0.12 better than the Average Joes 1.35. And lastly, fielding independent pitching, or FIP, Control Freaks 4.53, Average Joes 4.64. As you can see, the Control Freaks performed better in each of the metrics that I was tracking. Both the best and the worst ERA in a single season were completed by a Control Freak. The highest that I had was a 5.89, and the lowest a 3.21. The highest ERA for an Average Joe was 5.11, and the lowest was 3.48. So our hypothesis was proven to be correct. Even though both the Control Freaks and the Average Joes are 81 overall, they did not perform the same. So what can you take away from this? A takeaway from this study is that I would be willing to sacrifice some other statistics to find pitchers that have very high walks per 9. Where I've seen some applications of this in a franchise game mode is if you're ever going bargain hunting in free agency especially, you could find some pitchers that have pretty low overalls but have very high walks per 9. If you're ever restricted by your budget in this game or putting self-imposed restrictions on yourself to make it harder, walks per 9 is going to be your best friend. Here's a few examples of actual pitchers in MLB the Show that you might want to be on the lookout for. 83 overall Zach Eflin with 90 walks per 9. 79 overall Cody Bradford, who is also left-handed. A personal favorite of mine, 76 overall C potential Zach Littell. And if you really want to go crazy, 70 overall free agent Zach Staub. And 69 overall Slade Ciccone. I hope this video was useful to you. Please leave a like if you found this helpful. Drop a comment below if you'd like to see a specific attribute investigated next. And also be sure to check out some of my franchise rebuilds. Thanks for watching this episode of Show Science.